versus Origin, two teams that surprised everybody in groups, but still made it here, and a tough draw for the LMS's #1 seed, AHQ versus SKT. Again, gentlemen, initial thoughts regarding these different matchups.
Yeah, so the one that I actually am really interested to see, I still think it's going to be very one-sided, is AHQ can dictate the pace of an early game. And they got up 10,000 gold. It was against Easy Hoon's SKT at MSI. And when you look back at that game, that should have been a game that AHQ won. They just couldn't close it out against Nazir, who at the time was a very good stall champion. So I want to see if, once again, they can come in and fight. I'm, once again, not even expecting them to necessarily take a game, but this is a team that can dictate pace, and I think that that can be something to upset the early game of SKT and maybe give someone else hope. Once again, not AHQ, but maybe give the recipe to another team.
All right, and then of course we have Fnatic and EDG. When we're talking about MSI and teams that went up against each other at MSI, here's another one. You know, Fnatic, we have to remember that they have the addition of Reckless since then.
Yeah, like I'm super excited for this particular matchup because I feel like the person that has improved the most on Fnatic has to be Fabiven. I think in this particular matchup against EDG, he struggled against Pawn, and I think right now it could be a very, very interesting dynamic matchup.
All right, well, those games are to come. I want to zero in on today's matchup, Flash Wolves versus Europe's Origin. Both of these teams were surprise contenders in the group stage. For the Flash Wolves, they got off to a questionable start in week 1, but came out strong in week 2, going 3-0 to grab the #1 seed in their group.
Yeah, and the thing I like about Flash Wolves, if they're the team that have come closest to showing that there is a recipe to beat the teleport strategy in mid lane, and that seems to be get Caster, get Maple on 2 deadly champions, and then just try and completely wreck that lane itself. If you got teleport, it means you're not taking a cleanse, you're not taking a heal or a barrier. As soon as that flash is down, you can run things like Lee Sin, LeBlanc, and just completely take over the tempo of the game by crushing that mid lane.
Analyzing the two teams coming into the matchup, the first thing that appears is that both of them have the longest average game time, which you think, okay, that might make a really boring game. They all have a deficit of 15 minutes, so you might think on paper that this is going to be a very slow, low-kill game, but these teams have shown that once it reaches that 15-minute mark, it is no stops from that. They just go all out for kills, left, right, and center, and they have a bit of a hard time closing the game, which would make things a lot bloodier, especially because these teams aren't picking very powerful Siege, with the exception of their long-range AD carry. Or, I mean, if we see a Tom Kench with Jinx, then that would even be a very viable strategy because you can just get her out of it.
It also makes you wonder how these two teams are going to approach playing against each other. When you look at another team and you say, well, they also like to go late, or maybe not like to, but their games also tend to go late. Should we make an adjustment that says, you know what, we're going to attack the early game and we're going to completely change our play style to work in contrast to what they do, or just try and do what they do better?
I feel like Origin's goal in this particular match is simply because they have red side 3 games because of the lower seed. Like blue side has shown a lot of dominance in this tournament, but with the fact that Origin has the red side, I feel like they'll go for the strong lane matchups as they have done previously in the regular splits, where they just pick the strong matchups, go for the Kalista, go for the Kog, get the last pick on Soaz and try to dominate through that.
Yeah, and I feel that even though they're both like distance teams, I feel like one is a distance boxer, which is the Flash Wolves. They like to just keep hitting you and eventually you will go down, versus like a distance runner in Origin who just want to like transverse you around the map as many times as possible until you make that mistake and they pick apart your base. We saw that they got a Baron against the Korean team, then they were able to backdoor the base with double teleport. This team has won some games in pretty unconventional fashion, whereas Flash Wolves, they just keep throwing LeBlanc into the middle of the team until someone dies.
So the traditional way a lot of best of 5s or best of 3s are run is that the first game you just feel each other out and you just, okay, we're going to run our strategy, what we're comfortable with, and it's a team composition that has a very set pace to it. So we might see somebody go with a very crazy all-in early game or go with a stronger late game. And then the second game, that's the one where the teams make the decision, okay, how effective was this specific style against it, and what did they seem vulnerable against? And that's when you see a really big shift in how the play style and the team composition that the teams are running and adjust it to the best of 5. So the first 2 games for me are the ones that are going to dictate this entire series.
Spawn's analogy has made me a fan of Origin by virtue of being a distance runner myself. I want to take a look at some of the players, though. Someone on Flash Wolves that we were looking at going into the tournament was Stake, saying that he might be the weak point for the team, but he really has stepped up and been a rock for his team.
Yeah, and look, this isn't a flashy player. This guy's not going to go out there and get you the big pentakills, but he's a very good peeling top laner. He can initiate when he needs to, and he also played the Lulu actually pretty well in the game that they ran it with the LeBlanc. So this is a guy, he's probably not going to excite you on Summoner's Rift, but he certainly is a linchpin that does his job very well. And the one thing I will say about Stake is he groups at the right time. One of our criticism of top laners like Dyrus, like Zoaz, is that they get caught a lot. Stake pretty much plays that supportive role, so it's very hard to catch this guy out and force an error.
I feel like Stake, even though he has exceeded my expectations, which were very, very low, I don't think, like, still, Stake, I think he still had some issues. I just remember this game in particular where he was laning against Pain Gaming's Mylon, where he struggled a lot in these counter matchup. He was playing Darius and he was playing against Agnar, which is a counter matchup, as I mentioned. And I feel like Soaz on red side in 3 games is going to get that counter pick. And if Soaz is in a dominant matchup against a player that he knows he can dominate, he shines. But if he plays against a better player he knows is better than him, then he gets kind of destroyed.
Yeah, would definitely look for Stake to pick up the damage as he's one of the lower damage share top laners for his team. Crumbs looking over at Soaz, the guy, though, on the other side of the screen, who, again, you hear the crowd pipe in there for just a moment because he is a hometown favorite. He holds a different role on his team. He's expected to carry, but struggles with some inconsistencies.
Yeah, you know, the split pushing just isn't there. He gets caught out a lot. If you're trying to be a split pusher guy, you need to always know where the team is. And that might be a fault of the team communication, not letting him know that, hey, there's a lot of people coming your way. You need to back off the wave. And we've seen him innumerable times just getting caught out in 1v1s, getting ganked, and just not really fitting the split push pressure that Origin needs. And that might be the reason why their games are really taking that long to close out. Because when you die as a split pusher, you really slow down the pace of the game, and it's horrible when you do that. But, you know, I'm a little worried for him. He has done well, especially in some of the team fighting, but when he tilted in that Cannon game, I don't want to see that for this time around.
Now, the picture of consistency, though, for Origin has to be Niels, the 80 carry, the rookie coming in here and performing tremendously on his first international stage.
I don't think he's going to get Kalista, that's for sure. Niels has been the most solid player in the team together with Mithy, in my opinion. And I really like the idea of they have in the draft where they prioritize the Kalista. If the Kalista is out of the way, they pick the Kog and try to pick a strong matchup for him that he can pressure.
All right, well, with all this information in mind, before we head inside the packed house for Game 1, let's get you guys on record. Who do you think's coming away with our first quarterfinal series? Flash Wolves or Origin? Spawn, it looks like we're starting with you, according to the graphic.
Yeah, all right. So I have been hit up so many times today to please not pick my team. So Origin fans, you can breathe a sigh of relief. I'm going with the Flash Wolves today. I think that if you talk about a super sub, you have to mention NL. This guy didn't play the game 1 and was able to completely take over. They're even cheering the fact that I went for Flash Wolves. This is ridiculous.
All right, Yamato, you're up.
Well, I have to just go with Origin because I have experience playing against him in the best of 5.
There it is. There it is.
I have experience playing against them in the best of 5, and they are very energetic throughout. They are good at adapting. Their coach understands the draft and how to adapt properly, so I expect them to do exactly the same in this matchup.
Split desk, Crumbs, you're the tiebreaker.
I mean, I'm nervous now to say this with the crowd behind it, but I think just from the blue side advantage, this is going to be a really long series, probably 5 games, but in the end, I'm giving it to the Flash Wolves.
Ooh. Wait for it.
Are you giving
There it is. There it is.
Are you giving it to the Flash Wolves or to the blue side?
Oh.
Flash Wolves, man. They're playing on the blue side.
Well, that's what these guys think. It's clear that the crowd might disagree. The stage is set, so we're going to kick it to the caster booth for Game 1. And as we go, we'll hear how Stake and the Flash Wolves are back and playing to win after their rough international debut as the Gamma Bears back in Season 3.
This year is totally different from the last time we came.
Let's talk a little bit about the team, starting with the Gamma Bears, because frankly, not too much is actually known about these guys. Just like last year's world champion, the Taipei Assassins, the Bears are coming into this tournament flying very much under the radar.
So let's take a look at our first match of the day. The Taiwanese champs, Gamma Bears versus Korea's SK Telecom T1.
Well, I think Gamma Bears needs to play the best games of their life if they want to beat SKT.
Last time, our first match was versus SKT, yeah, and it didn't do well because like we got crushed.
Here comes Faker. He has just melted Steak. SK Telecom T1 will advance to face Najim Black Sword in the semi-finals.
To be honest, I think there are some good players on the Gamma Bears side, but this was definitely an individual skill mismatch.
When we were in Gamma Bears, we just play for fun and do whatever we want in the games. Like, it's like a solo queue with our friends. We didn't even practice that much. I don't think we really wanted that win. This time now, like, we know what you have to do to win.
It was impressive to see all the players really stepping up, and I'm really excited to see who they stack up against, because I think they'll just get better.
My team members is like 80% same from Gamma Bears to Flash Wolves, but everyone's grown older, and now we have a good analyst. The whole team, like every team member wants to win. We practice a lot. Our relationship is better, so I think we're more as a team than we was then. Everyone, we put our 100% in this whole thing, so I hope we get good results.
Hello, governors! Welcome here to London. We are ready to start our quarterfinals. I am David Freak Turley, here to bring you guys all of today's actions with, my favorite of colleagues. We've got Mitch Crepo, whose last name is too long to pronounce properly.
All right, mate.
Wonderful. Vorspulse, whatever. And the recently knighted Sir Joshua Jat Leesman.
I didn't know that happened.
Yeah, it didn't actually happen.
Okay, then.
But it was on the prompter, so I read it.
Starting off telling lies already.
Yeah, it's mostly how this goes. Either way, guys, we are getting ourselves into the game. It's going to be an absolutely wonderful one here, as you heard the players talk about.
Then you get these massive AoE team fights.